Alright, hey everybody, this is Sam, and we're getting ready for another game in our Climbing the Rating Ladder series. Last game I lost pretty badly after blundering a pawn, so this game I want to play more accurately and more solidly and rebound after that loss. So I'm going to play an opening that I know extremely well. I'm going to be extra careful, and even more than that, I'm going to play just a little bit more ambitiously at the same time here, guys. So let's see what we can do here against some strong opponents. And once we get an established rating, I'll go back and start playing all the lower levels, like 500s, 600s, 700s, 800s, 900s, 1000s, and on. Those rating levels are easy to advance upon, but that doesn't mean they're any less valid, because actually the majority of chess players are below the rating of 1000. All right, looks like P91 is aborting, so I'm gonna get a new opponent here. I got a 1900 Klossjar. I'm going to play the ready. And they play C5. Controlling B4, D4. So I think I'll play C6. So that when I play D4, we get some kind of Queen's Gambit looking position. Yeah, so they play D5, I'm gonna play D4, and now we have some kind of Queen's Gambit looking position. So they bring their knight out, pressuring my center. It's funny, I think we have like a reversed... I said it's a Queen's Gambit looking position, but that's from Black's end. So this is like I have a Slav, but I'm up a move, right? So thinking in that way, I don't know if they were supposed to bring their knight out here, because I think I can take the pawn on C5, because I already have support geared up for it with C3. Like, you see how my pawn is on C3 is ready to play B4, protect that pawn on C5. So this might have been a slight inaccuracy for them. It could be theory, but I don't think it's theory. I think this might be an inaccuracy. Yeah, they go there, but now I can play this. And I should be up a pawn, because I'm basically, I have a Slav, which is already a really reliable opening, and now I'm up a tempo, so I feel pretty happy, because I have the Slav defense, which is a black opening, but I'm with the white pieces. That's something you can do sometimes. You know, I tried to get into this kind of position knowing that even though I'm on the black side of an opening as the white player, there's nothing to be afraid of, because you have an extra tempo. And they're just going for it. They're going for it as pure sacrifice. Respect. They bring their knight out. So probably a good move here for me, just to shore up everything, is I'm gonna put my bishop. I'm gonna fianchetto my bishop on the queen side. The bishop wants to be there anyways, and the bishop is protecting the rook on A1, so that in this case, when they play A5, I'm I'm allowed to play a3, so that when they play a takes b4, I can play a takes b4 and my rook is defended. So that was the whole idea. So theoretically speaking, my position isn't winning by any means, because this is like there's lots of positions in the Slav where black is up a pawn. So guys, consider my position like a Slav, right? It's just I'm a Slav up a pawn, or excuse me, up a pawn because I'm up a tempo. I guess it definitely helped. And so I'm not winning because I'm up a pawn, but because it's not one of those positions where like I just purely like snatched up a pawn and they have nothing for it. They have something for it. Like my pawns are doubled, and you know, my bishop is a little wacky, being kettled right there, right, at least right now. So they bring their bishop out and they're ready to castle. I don't see any threats with that per se. So therefore, I'm just going to play e3, controlling d4 some more, as well as getting ready to bring my bishop out. And probably I'll bring the bishop to b5 and pin their knight, which is controlling the center. So taking a little bit of influence off the center for their knight. But they castle, which would get it out of the pin anyways. And now their rook and queen are connected. But should I put my bishop there? Possibly not. It can be attacked. So like if I play bishop b5, they can just play knight a7, attacking my bishop, and then that gives them a free roll to then play b5. So it's probably not the greatest move. So let me just play bishop to e2. At some point they might play a takes b4, a takes b4, rook takes a1, bishop takes a1, but that's all fine for me. Yeah, so here they're going after my structure a little bit, but this I don't think is a very good move. It's well intentioned because you see how they're attacking my structure from several different areas. But now I think I can attack their knight and then push the pawn forward here. So they play b6, but now I think I can play, this is a move I wanted to play earlier, but it has to come with tempo, so then I can, you know, I can get everything in. b5, attacking the knight. The knight does not have very many squares. It really has to move to a7, and then I play c6, and I have a connected pass pawn, and their knight is really trapped. So I think I'm getting a pass pawn and really shutting their knight out of the game. Their knight's going to be dim on the side of the board. Yeah, their knight doesn't have very many squares. I mean, I guess it could, probably the better square than a7 is to b8, just to go home, and then later to so go knight b8 and then knight b to d7 later. That's probably better than a7, because a7, it's symbolically pressuring my pawn, but that pawn is so easily defended. So the knight is better off going to b8. That's probably where they should go, because they're deciding between the two. Now my position is looking increasingly better. Being up a pawn is good, but as you solidify your advantage, it becomes more and more potent. I was up a pawn, but they had a lot of play, and now they're getting less and less play, and I'm getting more active with that extra pawn. See, that extra pawn is now a connected pass pawn, just a couple squares away from quitting. So now they're trying to figure out what to do here, because I think they realize the position is not pleasant. There's only 2 moves though. I mean, you don't want to sacrifice the knight. You can go after my knight, which is an interesting move. They're probably wanting me to take their knight, and then they could take my knight, but I don't want to go for that. So I think I should just move my knight somewhere where they can't take me. They can't trade my knight, because then that would, like if I play knight d4, they could just play knight takes d4. And then if I play queen takes d4, the problem is, in that position, that c5, my pawn is attacked several times. So I actually have to move my knight away and keep my attack on their knight so that I can proceed with my plan. So but I don't hate going back at all. I mean, well, let's see. Let me just go here. I'm slightly congested in the middle here with my knights. Like currently my knight on b1 doesn't have anywhere to go, but I can fix that in the future. I see multiple different options. So they go with their knight. They're probably menacing knight to d3, but you know, I have to address the attack on my c5 pawn, which is attacked several times, but I want to address it because now I got to protect the pass pawn. Now, if they want, they can play knight d3, bishop takes d3, e takes d3, and they have the bishop pair, and that's a good move because they're trying to stop me from castling. So if I play bishop takes g4, they can slap me with knight to d3, landing a massive fork on my undefended bishop on b2 and on my king on e1. So that's a good move. I cannot take the bishop, and I think this is a good time to castle and get out of trouble. However, if they trade bishops, that's another trade, and any endgame, as you can see, is winning for me because of that passed c pawn. A move I want to get in here at some point, like possibly the next move that I play, all else being equal, is a4 to solidify my pawn on b5 and stop them from playing a4 themselves. I just want a really compact, harmonious structure. And you want to gain space if you can, and they play that themselves. See, I didn't want them to do that, but I thought they might. So I'm thinking about playing c4 here, which unleashes a discovered attack with my bishop on b2 on their knight on e4, and it attacks their structure and makes way for my knight on b1 to come out to c3. So that looks like a good move. I'm also considering capturing on g4 first because it's a forcing move. I think I should probably do that to gain a tempo, and then I can get another tempo with a flight square on whichever knight that arrives there. Yeah. So let me actually, let's see here. Let me play this now, because you see how their knights are protecting each other? Now their knight on e5 can't move because it's defending the knight on g4. So that knight actually can't take, they can't play knight takes c4, knight takes c4, d takes c4, because then I could play queen takes g4, and I'm up a whole knight, and I'm also incidentally threatening checkmate. So they take there. However, I think this loses a piece, because now I can attack this knight, and then once it moves away, the other knight is undefended. it might not lose a piece. They might be able to play knight d3, getting that knight out of dodge, and attacking my undefended knight. Excuse me, on my undefended bishop on b2. So it's not losing a piece, but it's potentially, like the line that I saw in my head, they lost a piece, but they have to calculate here. Because if they play the wrong move, they'll lose. They should play knight d3, getting that knight out of the way of my bishop and actually attacking my bishop, who's undefended. Probably what I would do is I would have to scoot up, probably to like, they find the move. That's a good move. But probably probably d4 is the right case, just pressuring their pawn on b6. Yeah, and then I would still be attacking their knight on g4. And so I'm attacking their knight on g4. I'm also attacking their pawn on c4. So I should be winning my pawn back, and then I'd be up a pawn again. And then my knight takes on c4. The knight will be attacking b6 along with my bishop. So I might be winning that pawn, and then I'd have a couple connected pass pawns there on the queen side. So they have to move their knight away. That's more or less the only option that I'm seeing, because I'm threatening to take it with my queen or the pawn. So they move the knight out of the way. But now I think I can just go ahead and snatch this pawn, and now I'm threatening the pawn on b6. So I'm up a pawn. Another move I see in the future, another little scheme I see in the future, is knight c3. Okay, so I'm finally getting up my knight out and connecting my majors. I'm pressuring e4. And then in the future, I can move my rook off of this long diagonal and then play bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, removing the defender of e4, and then I could play knight takes e4, and I'll be up a third pawn. So it helps to have pressure. I mean, like, if you have pressure, that just means that you're calling the shots and you're setting the pace of the game, and they have to respond. It's like if you're in a fight and you have all the stamina, so it's not like you're losing stamina as you're throwing the blows, but you're the only one throwing blows. You're happy, and typically that means you're going to win the fight. That doesn't mean you're going to win, because you can be beaten on them for 3 minutes and then they hit you in the fucking jaw and make you bite your tongue and you're dead. But theoretically, like, you don't want to get beat on for 3 minutes, right? Like, it's not conducive to winning the fight. And positional players, we like to beat on them for 3 minutes, dodge, take very minimal damage, and then kill them. Whereas, tactical players, they like to go immediately for the kill. So they come in challenging my bishop, which is a good move, because I didn't quite see that. That's a good move, because it's defending their pawn. Good move. But I think I can still just take that bishop, and I'm still happily up a pawn. If they take with the pawn, yeah, I don't think that's a good move, because look at those powerful passed pawns. I don't even have to push the pawn if I don't want, because my knight is protecting the squares in front of it. But I could push the pawn. Is there any reason not to? I might play, let me just bring my knight out on principle, because I should develop my pieces. So now all my major pieces are connected. My knight is contributing, it's defending my passed pawn. So he goes there, but I believe that blunders a pawn, because knight d5, knight takes e4. I don't quite see their intended idea. And actually, now that I took this pawn, I'm also threatening to win their knight. on d3. So now I'm up a couple pawns, and they have tactical issues. If they move their knight, which I'm threatening to take, then I'll be winning c5 as well. Black resigned. I would say this is actually not a premature resignation. I'd say that's pretty accurate. The position is pretty bad here. They're down a couple pawns, probably going to be down a third pawn. So, good game, cloth jar. Let's go ahead and, I said, oh, they proposed a take back. I didn't even notice they did that. Alright. Let's go ahead and look at this game, y'all. So we're steadily climbing back up to the 2100s here. I'm going to give you my thoughts before we look at the computer analysis graph. So I brought my knight out, which is the ready opening. This opening is great. It's kind of like d4, but a little bit more flexible, because you're getting d4 positions in general, but what you're doing is you're just being a little bit more flexible because you haven't committed your d4 pawn, and your knight is already controlling the center, and therefore it actually rules out a few openings from black, such as like the Latvian Gambit or the rat opening, which are both pretty tough openings. Like the Latvian Gambit is tricky, the rat opening is genuinely ferocious, and the rat opening, if you get caught in the rat opening, it's basically like you're just worse, and you have to grovel for a draw. And it's like, but it's tricky because you happily go into the rat thinking that you're better, and then you slowly, like, you have a slow sinking feeling in your chest as you realize you're worse, and then they beat you, because you happily blunder. You basically you lure yourself into this position. So go search up the rat if you want to see what I'm talking about. Knight f3 is actually the reason why I played knight f3 to avoid the rat, and I discovered that I liked knight f3 more than d4 regardless, because it's like d4 but more flexible. That being said, it's a little bit more advanced, so I would say only like 1500 plus in general should play it, because you have to know what to do with all your pawns. So they go there, and now that's a good move, because now we're basically getting they're basically getting like I said, like a Queen's Gambit position down a tempo. So if they like the Queen's Gambit, you know, that's what they're going for. But bringing their knight out though is actually a mistake. However, I think see, because I'm white here, I have an extra tempo. So when I take that pawn, it's hard for them to recover it. As black, you can imagine if they had an extra move here, if black had an extra move, if they played another move, like a preparatory move, and then I took the pawn, it might be a little bit harder for me to take it. Like, you conceptually can see that. But now so I thought about that, right? Like, I haven't seen this position a lot, but I conceptually thought, hold up, this is a Slav, right? But I'm white, so I'm up a tempo. And if they don't take the pawn when I think they should, and I'm up a tempo, then logically speaking, even if I haven't calculated, and even if I don't know the theory, and even if, I mean, you should calculate and you should know the theory, but just like this should get the ball rolling in your head, like for how you look for an idea. You should say, oh, okay, this is basically a good position up a tempo. So if I take the pawn, it can't possibly be bad. It has to be good. That was my thought process. Took the pawn, and from there it's pretty hard for them to recover. I'm assuming it's going to be like -1 or +1 for me, and then it slowly grows until a win, and it's going to be hard for them to fight back. Not saying it's lost at all. I mean, they could fight back in many ways. Usually with their superior center control, and they try to attack your king side, and you try to use your extra pawn to like trade the pieces and get into an endgame and queen that pawn. So yeah, I like bringing my bishop out so that when they attacked my chain, I could be all defended. They castle, I bring my bishop out. And this move, I think, was the major mistake of the game. Blundering the... I won't say it was a blunder. I would say it was an inaccuracy, because it wasn't a blunder because it was in the opening. And the opening is just a morass, right? It's like you walk into a city and you see buildings everywhere and you see people everywhere and you don't know what's happening. And then the middle game is like when things start, structures start coalescing, and like you start recognizing buildings, and you start seeing how people are congregating in their different areas, and you start seeing what directions people are going. And then the end game is like, okay, I understand society and I see what's going to happen now. But in the opening, so it's like it's not really a blunder because they didn't know that they were losing a pawn. They probably thought it was theory, and it's not that bad for them. I would say even being up a pawn, it was probably like a half pawn advantage or thereabouts. But this is a mistake for sure, because I'm getting a brutal connected passed pawn there, and as you see, I get a major amount of activity with all my pieces opening up. Like I didn't even foresee the activity coming. Like I didn't calculate all the activity coming, but I first saw it in my head. I saw, this is going to be really nice because I see that my pieces are going to be enjoying their open lines. I see that they have opportunities, right? It's like if you set a bunch of tigers out of captivity into an open field. These tigers don't know what's going to happen, but they know that it's good, and they know that they have a lot of opportunities. It's the same thing for my pieces. I don't know what's going to happen for them, but I want good for them, and I'm going to set them up with good environments so that they have good futures and they can pull off good actions. So parents, treat your kids like chess pieces, and chess players, treat your chess pieces like kids, and you'll do better off. Think. All right, attack the knight. They go here, which is a clever move, because if I take their knight lazily, they take my knight, and I've probably lost my advantage. But I don't want to do that in a blitz game. I wouldn't even do that in a blitz game. You have to think about what kind of position you want to happen. Right, it's like it's not just an equal trade. Like I take their knight, they take my knight, so it's an equal trade. It's how is the position developing? Because it goes from me completely dominating to if I take their knight and then they take my knight, right? Then the position is completely transforming and turning into chaos, and I'm losing my static advantages and making it turn into a free for all, when it doesn't need to be, because I'm winning. The player who's losing wants the game to be chaotic. The player who's winning wants it to be controlled. So I wanted to control the game, so I backed my knight up. They brought their knight in, but now I can get that dangerous passed pawn. That's a good move, because if I instinctively take their bishop on g4, they can smack me with knight d3. I'm not even sure if knight d3 is like better for black, but instinctively you just don't want it to happen, because you're not castling, you're losing your bishop pair. It's what they want to happen, so there's several different reasons for you to be allergic to their knight getting in. You really never want knights in your positions. Like you don't want an outposted knight in your position. That's kind of like having, just someone just jamming gears into the middle of your car. It's very hard to work around. So I castle, they go there, which is a good move because I wanted to play that move myself. But I trade their bishop, which I like because it's a tempo move. It's good to play forcing moves, guys. It's good to be flexible, but it's good to play forcing moves as well. Like sometimes it's cool to keep the tension because then you're keeping all the options open. But then when you see an opportunity, don't miss on it just because you want to keep the tension and you want to keep the options open. If you right, so if I take his bishop, that means I've won a tempo because they're forced to take it back. And now it's my move again. You see what I'm saying? So I've won a move, if that makes any sense. And now I'm going to use that move again here, right? So I'm going to, boom, put pressure on his center, put pressure on his knight, put pressure on this knight, his center. And I think I'm just winning here. So they take, but now I can attack his knight, and when they bring their knight in to attack my bishop, I go here attacking, or putting pressure on their pawn. They back their knight up. I take my pawn back. They slide in with the bishop defending, which is a good move, but now I can take. And I think they should have taken with the knight, personally, because you really don't want to give me two connected pass pawns. And then I brought my knight out. They bring their knight out, which I think is a mistake, a big mistake, because now they just missed that I was blundering his pawn, and they resign. So, good game, Kloss Jar. This is one of those cases where you lose a pawn, and then another pawn, and then another pawn, and it just kind of snowballs. So, to me, I would attribute it mostly to the opening mishap. But it just goes to show you, like, you know, you lost that one pawn, but you don't necessarily have to, like, one has to fight harder after they've lost a pawn than before they lost the pawn. All right, let's look at the analysis. I'm assuming it's going to be in White's favor and then steadily climbing. So White's going to be up a pawn, and then it's going to go up and up and up and up and stay there. I may have blundered. You never know, but I don't think I spotted any kind of blunders. And I didn't feel any blunders. Like, usually sometimes in chess positions, if your position is really hard and it sucks, like, you kind of feel it in your bones, and you're kind of, you know, it's not very fun to play. But I was having fun in the whole position. So that's my prediction. Yeah, pretty accurate. Pretty good graph here. So I got an 89% accuracy. Kloster at 81. I had 1 inaccuracy, 2 mistakes. But I don't see any crazy mistakes around. I mean, yeah, I guess if it goes from +2 to +1, that's not the greatest. So I guess it likes me attacking the center initially instead of trading. So I thought about attacking the center initially, and I thought that could have been the best move. But I sort of didn't like the idea of their bishop being able to kind of take me whenever they wanted. I wanted to take them, just to clarify a little bit. So that makes sense to me that c4 is a better move. I'll probably consider that in the future, because the knight is actually outright hanging in that position. But there was, you know, ways they could get out of it. But I guess it's just dead winning. So let me see what the computer is suggesting here, like how it's saying it's just dead winning. So the knight goes in here. I go here. I guess it's similar to the other position, but I just have like everything I want. Yeah, so probably I should go for that. And because I saw that I was attacking their knight, and they could jump their knight in here. And I figured I'd go for the more forcing variation, but this seems more forcing to me because it's actually like even more miserable for black. It's a similar position, but more active for white. All right, good stuff. This was a fun game. This is a fun positional game. I hope y'all learned something from it. To me, the course of the game was mostly me winning this pawn in the opening. Black trying to fight back. They were trying to fight back, but they didn't do it very accurately. And then I was able to win another pawn and then another, and that was pretty much all she wrote. All right, so I'll be back pretty quickly for another video. I hope you all got something from this. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Peace.